Hey guys, welcome back to Margo Watches Movies. I apologize for the crooked angle. My ring light broke, so I had to do this whole jerry-rigged Home Alone contraption to set up a camera angle. So forgive me for the minor Dutch angle here. But tonight we're going to be getting into episodes 2 and 3 of Invincible. Episode 4 will be out tomorrow. I'll have a review of that as well. But wow, this season has not lost any bit of quality. We are off to a roaring start, and both of these episodes tonight were fantastic, but in particular, I really want to give some standout praise to episode 2 and what I thought was one of the best episodes of the entire run of the show so far, where we get this extended deep dive into the Viltrumite world. We get all of this backstory that we've been yearning for, filling in these bits of lore and showing us both how the Viltrumite Empire functions and how severely uh, large of a shadow they are casting for seemingly such a small tree at this point. And I'll get into that now. As the episode kicks off, we see this asteroid flying into what maybe seems to be Earth. We find out it's Viltrumite, and it disperses, easily getting past these rigorous defenses set up around the planet. And once it lands, you see this green gas go up, and it doesn't be seen again for about a few minutes. We're then introduced to a gentleman teaching young Viltrumites with, of course, that Viltrumite aplomb, giving threats of death, among others, to showcase strength and brutality, the Viltrumite way. It is at this point, this young man teaching this class is seemingly attacked by two Viltrumites out of nowhere who turn out to be his parents. A Viltrumite rite of passage, potentially murdering your child the day they become an adult to see if they're tough enough to showcase the Viltrumite way. And this young man, we find out, is Nolan. So I thought maybe we were getting a live look at the planet, but no, this is a flashback of young Nolan fighting to the death with his mother and father. And he fights well, he fights valiantly, but he is at a point where his mother could brutalize him and kill him, and she seems to want to, where the father grants him some clemency and some mercy, much to the behest of his mother, who flies off in this rage. And from there, everything clicks into place from that opener with the poison as Viltrumites left and right start bleeding, falling, and dying. And this entire massive outbreak arises from seemingly what was this gas planted at the start of the episode. And this extended sequence was some fantastic filmmaking. I know it's an animated show, but this montage, the darkness that kicks in, seeing literally billions of Viltrumites. And this, we've spent 3 seasons up to this point, right, realizing how unbelievably overpowered the Viltrumites are as a race. Now, to see them at full strength billions, it's a war that nobody could have defeated them in. Not a single person in all of the universe could have defeated a force like this. So this poison to come in and wipe out almost every Viltrumite. Nolan, of course, surviving, as we flash back then to present day of him telling this story to Alan, who is shocked to find out and this was foreshadowed in the previous season, naming about 50 Viltrumites, but to see how it happened, and you have a guess who did it, the leader of the Galactic Coalition, which is revealed later in the episode. But to see the Viltrumites now, there's this method of hope, and I was thinking, okay, here is the way that they can be defeated. But no, they essentially have been defeated. And as we find out later in the episode, there's another more perfected dose that once you pull that plug, it's the nuclear option. There's no going back. Every Viltrumite will die, presumably including Mark and great and Noland and Mark's brother Oliver and many others. So it's an interesting development. Will the betrayer be the gentleman that at the end of this decides to pull the plug? I don't know. There's so many different ways this show could go. That's why I love it so much. But this whole extended episode, which then kicks off into Nolan and Alan, along with Alan's wife, with this hilarious running gag of anytime they go from planet to planet, they're just having wild sex in the bedroom while Nolan's forced to listen on the couch. It kind of got funnier and funnier and funnier as it went on. Um, and right as it was losing steam, they smartly shift, I think. So I think they played that running gag perfectly. But Nolan and Alan going from planet to planet to find these weapons that Nolan has discussed, finding the Space Ranger with his long cannon, who happens to still be alive, having a cool fight with him, and then convincing him to join the Alliance, if that's what we're going to call it. Um, Going to the whatever they're called, like Ragnaroks or something like that. Those Ragnars, I think, those like big beasts that are in a planet where the gravity is so heavy, it's made them so strong that they can even yeet a Viltrumite. That goes haywire because of this kind of parody of like a starship. That was kind of how I took it, like a Star Trek parody of this like broken down ship with this dumbass captain. Not that that has anything to do with Captain Kirk, but it just seemed like it was parodying it a little bit. The captain blowing this ring that was keeping the planet frozen. This fight ends up being one of those Invincible fights where you have that little moment of doubt, like, are they about to kill Nolan and Alan? And then, of course, they escape. But I do think Invincible fights are so great at going on long enough and showing enough vulnerability from these seemingly invulnerable people that you do start to worry a little bit. Are they going to make it? That's what's been so great from Invincible since episode 5 of season 1 with the Battle Beast fight. So all of this culminating in the reveal, as I spoiled a little earlier in the review. This is a spoiler review, but of the betrayer. I'm forgetting the guy's name, who's like the emperor of the Galactic Coalition, showing Nolan this vial. Nolan restraining himself not to kill him and making him promise, you will only use this as a last resort. From there, the episode kicks or it leaves us with Nolan leaving the ship to go find Mark. And of course, we get Conquest returning, and we get our very first, if I'm not mistaken, introduction to General Thrag. I've not read the comments, but just like shows where there's a book before the show, there's people online that love to be coy and cute. No, just you wait till General Thrag comes, you non-comic readers. Those pieces of assholes, those jerk-offs who always do that. We get to introduce to Thrag, who I assume is maybe the in-game ultimate badass warrior boss of the Viltrumite. I assume he's someone that could one-chop Conquest. So he's probably like the absolute in-game to this show, if I had to guess. We're introduced to him. He does seem menacing. He seems like a bigger, stronger Nolan with his mustache and his, Viltrumite death stare. So episode 3 picks off where episode 1 ended. Mark dealing with the aftermath of killing technically an innocent man who was under control, to save basically the planet. He had to make a hard decision. This has worried Cecil and Ronald and many of the members of the Guardians of the Globe. Is Mark slowly shifting into his Omni-Man era? And again, as I mentioned in my episode 1 review, this is something that has been building for a couple seasons now. So it's nice to really start to see this pay off. How much farther is it going to go? It's teased quite a bit in this episode. Mark almost snaps and kills another 2 people that really didn't need to die. He's really starting to lose control. And then on the flip side, contrasting him, the love of his life, Eve, is still suffering from these lapses in her powers, and it's really waning on her. Her whole identity and self-psyche is kind of built around Adam Eve. So now that her powers are really going haywire, she's really not sure what to do. They enlist the help of Rudy, but he's going to need time to figure this out. And while that happens, we have 2 converging storylines going on. You have Titan, played by Mahershala Ali, the gentleman that turns himself into stone, with Metalhead or Computer Head, whatever his name is. He's a really cool villain. Machine Head. Machine Head kind of playing this long con to get him and Lou, the dragon from last season, to kind of join whatever their little secret Illuminati order is. And on the flip side, you have the Thraxan come back, those Martians, where we famously saw them when Nolan, when we didn't know he was super evil, goes to the planet and what I thought wiped the whole planet out, said, your Earth is not yours to conquer. It's an iconic line of the series. They return again. And because of the way that their time shifts, it's been a long while for them. They've had a lot of buildup, so they come much heavily more prepared this time. And we get another kind of similar fight to what we've seen in the show every time they come. It's a good fight. I don't think it was anything like hair-raising thrilling like we've gotten in certain instances of Invincible, like we'll probably get at the end of this season. But it's a good fight nonetheless. And really, Rudy or Robot here kind of takes over, gets his moment to shine, where he figures out that this interceptor, whatever you want to call it, this radio relay jammer, is blocking them from getting older, but they have it on the other side of the portal. So him and Monster Girl run in, close, destroy it, but the portal's closed before they can get there and finish off this army. So we'll see where that storyline goes with them two. I'm sure we'll get some time with them in the next couple episodes. How will they make their way back to Earth? Or will the Guardians of the Globe have to go rescue them like they did for Mark when he was trapped in that dimension with the big-headed guy from season 2? So um, episode 3 was a really solid episode of Invincible. I think episode 2 was like standout peak Invincible. Maybe not like over the top action. There's still a lot of action, but just like the world building, everything that's established, so much is revealed, and the plot is drastically advanced as far as the fight against the Viltrumite. We still are taking our time a little bit on Earth with all these different chaoses. We're really filling out the characters and giving them these great, wonderful arcs and allowing them to expand and expand. And on Nolan and Alan's side, these guys are really escalating and fast forwarding this kind of rebellion fight against the Viltrumite. So it was a real interesting, nice little bit of 2 episodes. And then, of course, the post-credit scene of episode 3 reveals that Eve is pregnant with Mark's kid. How is this going to, how is this going to be affected by her radioactive powers messing up? It's a very interesting story. We'll see what they do with that. I'm very, very excited for episode 4. Invincible is back and it's in full swing. It's never been better. Episode 2 to me was pretty much a 10 out of 10. Episode 3, I'd give an 8 out of 10. So we'll give it a 9 out of 10 for the 2. We'll be back to 1 episode a week. It'll be much easier to review. I'll be doing it the same night of. So no more of this late stuff. Hopefully I'll have my ring light fixed. But that's all for me, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It was a hard review to do with 2 episodes, but we got through it. No technical difficulties. So, guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on the episode below. Give me a like. Give me a subscribe if you want to see more Invincible reviews. Also, Boys reviews will be coming when that drops. So, but I'd love to hear what you guys thought about these first 3 episodes. Which one was your favorite of the 3? How's this season holding up for you so far? Let me know everything. So that's all for tonight. My name is Jake Margo. This is Margo Watches Movies, guys. And as always, thank you much for tuning in. We'll see you next time or tomorrow night.